Hello everyone, welcome to day 9 of the macro and the VBA automation series. So till now we have seen all the functions, inbuilt functions, right, custom functions, and what are the decision making statements we have. And then we have seen around what do you mean by loops, okay, what are the different types of loops we have, right. So this all the things so we have seen for today. So we're going to start with one particular concept which is called as an automatic procedures and an events. Okay, this will be a new concept of all. So you all can start your Excel with your, and we're going to start with the automatic procedures and the events concepts, where we're going to learn about the procedures as well as the what are the events happens with respect to that particular procedures. Okay, so let's open our visual editor id. Let's go to Excel only. Now suppose you have a some around number of ways to execute any VBA process or procedure, right? And till now we have just creating n number of procedures, right? And we write any code in the procedures only. We have seen all that part, right? And one way is to arrange that all the procedure for the particular procedure is for, you can say, one statement or one keyword we use called as a sub, right? Sub. If you want to create some procedure, right, definitely what we do, we take a sub and we give the procedure name, any name you can give, and give the parenthesis, and you can see, right, you can create your procedure, and this get this automatically executed, right, and it automatically detect that yeah, we have created some procedure, so there has to be some end of the procedure, right. We have another concept with respect to procedure which is called as an event, right. Or what is event, or what are the types of events, right. So event is basically, if you see, is something that happens in Excel, right. Some of an example of the event I'm going to describe, that a workbook is open or closed, okay, then a window is activated or deactivated, right, a worksheet is activated or deactivated, data is entered into the cell or the cell is getting edited, right, a workbook has been saved, an object such as button is clicked, okay, or any particular key or any key combination is pressed. And this type of all the things is called as an event in an Excel, okay. And most of the Excel programmers never need to worry about the most of the events in this particular whatever the list I have told you just now, okay. But you all should, however, at least know that this event exists and the behavior of this event occur in this way, okay, because there may be a actually stance, or maybe sometimes come in handy someday on any project you are working on, right. So what are the events which I have discussed, like workbook is open or closed or deactivated or activated, a worksheet is activated or deactivated, or data is entered into the cell, these all are just common events, okay, and most commonly used events, okay. So basically there are two types of events. If we look at into a little bit deeper part, there are two types of event. One is called as an workbook events and one is called as an worksheet events, okay. Workbook events I'll show you. See now, this is called as an workbook events. Can you see workbook event? When I'm pressing any particular ribbon on the tab, it is hovering to this particular mouse. Can you see mouse is getting hovering over the different tabs? So this is called as a workbook event. And if I'll talk about the worksheet event, means anything which I am doing inside this sheet, right, this is all called as an worksheet event, okay, writing anything, doing any kind of a manipulation, right, doing any kind of things, so that is all is worksheet event in a simple ways. Workbook event having some function and worksheet event having some function, okay, they both having some kind of a little bit built-in functionalities, right. Some of the functionalities which I'm going to discuss here, right. First one, if I'll tell some of the important functionalities I'm discussing, one is activate, okay, one is activate. What activate will do here, workbook is get activated, okay, workbook is activated, okay. Now second, we have a before case, okay, before close. Just see the spelling, guys, because you have to write as the same I'm writing here, and it means that workbook is closed, means workbook is close, right? So these are the some simple event I'm talking about. Next we have a before print. Okay, and in this before print, I have before print, and here the workbook is printed. Okay, then I'm going to write means simple all the events like before save. Okay, then we have call as an deactivate. If we are activating the sheet, then we can do the deactivate also, right? Deactivate, then we can use the new sheet, then we can open the workbook, right? And then a specific sheet I can activate. Okay, window activate. Okay. And sheet before double click, sheet before right click. If I'm using right click, it means that this one. Okay. So these are the some important workbook event. Okay, same worksheet event also the same one. Okay, it doesn't getting any kind of, you can say, a different procedure or different type of event or built-in function. It getting the same function. Okay, just little bit there is a more in the workbook event, and worksheet event there is a less kind of built-in functions available. Okay, now the question will come into mind that are these events are useful or not, right? At this point I can say that you may be wondering how these events can be useful, right? Now suppose I'll give you one example. Suppose you have a workbook in which you enter a values in a column A. Okay, in this column A you have entered some value. Now your boss or maybe your manager, okay, maybe you can consider a very compulsive person, okay, and tells you that he needs to be he needs to know exactly when each number was entered. Okay, when each number was entered, and entering the data is an event, right? I am suppose entering some kind of a data, so it means that entering the data is an event. Now a worksheet change the event, we can use the worksheet change event, right? Because worksheet is getting changing. You have two ways. Either you can create a macro which responds to this event, and the macro will going to kick in when the event occurs, and whenever the worksheet getting changed. So if the change was made in the column, right, a macro puts the date and time in the column B next to the date point that was entered here. In this column B you can put it the date and time when you have entered the change the data, right? In case suppose you are a little bit curious, okay, and how that particular macro will going to get look like. Okay, let me give you a proper little bit example of the you can say by through the VB code. Suppose I have created one procedure, right? Let's give the name to procedure. Okay, suppose we are creating any procedure, that procedure is private. I'll come into the concept of public and private worksheets, how we can create public and private procedures. Suppose I've created one worksheet, let me give a proper worksheet name. I wanted to change the worksheet, right? And in this change you are taking suppose by value as target, or by value target as range. Okay. I know got it. Now inside this what I'm going to do, if my target dot column, whenever I used to do the intelligence, whenever my target dot column is equal to 1, then I can do target dot offset 0 comma 1. Okay, as I show you, offset is used for offset now. It means the give me the current time. And let's give the end if. Okay, and so now what this particular worksheet underscore change procedure does, that it is written that whatever the code or whatever the data I'm going to enter, okay, it should give me the, you can say, an event. This event giving me in which time my particular data has been getting handled. Okay, now the here it is called as an event handle procedure, where we write or go into the procedure and we write our code, right? And we are using the call as an worksheet underscore change procedure, right? Where I am using the target event, and this target event I am setting that if in my column 1 I'm selecting and I'm writing any kind of a data, then in that data, whatever the offset, whatever data you're going to enter, give me the current timing of the data in which timing it should get created. Now, if you'll see the macro name, suppose given as a name or change, we are creating a one macro, so change. Okay, great. I guess, so where is our macro? Change is our macro here, and we are giving a suppose by well target as what do we have, right, range, right? Oh, okay, 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 very sensitive, very sensitive. Okay, so we have created our one particular macro, right? Your macro code look like this. If you'll see in sheet 1, okay, in sheet 2 actually, we are in sheet 2 currently. So I guess we have to write the code. I haven't seen that we have written in sheet 2 this code, right? So we have to execute this in sheet 2 or in sheet 1 if I am executing. I have entered some data with respect to sheet 1. Let's give, or we can create our this particular procedure in the sheet 2 also, doesn't matter. You can macro name anything you want, just create it. Okay, to give to the argument, and let's run this code. Book 1. We have given our macros. Okay, go to developer tab, you can see the macros. So I guess we have a macro here for particular this workbook or book 1. Okay, let's create a macro first here. Let's record a macro. I guess this code is not working properly. We are creating here this particular event handler code. Suppose guys we have gone to the, now let's record a macro first. You know, name as a macro 1, and I'm entering some data 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I've entered this data. Now go to developer and stop recording. Go view macros. Okay, let's see the code first. What is it has written? See, active cell formula RC1. Inside this, we have written this value, right? So what we can do, let's copy this particular code inside this and copy the parameters also. Now try to run this code. So again, giving me the value. Now go to cell. Just oh, okay. Go to macros and where is our macro? Okay, we have done the addition of the macro from here, right? Now see this. I guess guys, this macro is not working properly. If you're running this macro, you should getting this value here is it, as it is. There might be some problem with the workbook because this event handler procedures works with you can say the versions of the excels, some specific versions of the excel like excel 2016, 13 and 19. I need 21 and my excel version is, I guess. Okay, let's try this in a different way. Suppose let's create a different code. Okay, what I'm telling here, let's take in sheet 1. In sheet 1, let's create one private sub module. We don't require a private also. Let's create a simply workbook. Okay, workbook underscore open, spelling open, and inside this let's create dim message as string. Okay, and if my weekdays is in November, got it, equal to 6, then it means we should print the message equal to today is Friday. I'm just taking a random example. Today is Friday. Don't forget to, okay, don't forget to message equal to message and submit the any kind of report. Suppose TPS report, I am saying TPS report. Okay, now let's message box and print this in message box. But yeah, let's see this particular event is working or not. Okay, you can see the end if. Alright, now let's run this. It should work. Okay, now it's a clicking event. Now this particular, if you see this workbook underscore open, okay, it get executed automatically whenever the workbook is open. Okay, this is respect to the workbook we are talking about. Now whenever workbook will going to get open, it uses the VBA weekday function, right? This weekday function. Now this weekday function, what it will do, it will determine the day of the week, and if it is Friday, that is day 6. Okay, if it is Friday, today is actually Tuesday, if it is Friday day 6, okay, a message box will going to remind that user to submit a report. If it is on Friday, not Friday, it will not going to happen anything, right? And in the weekdays of the November I'm talking about, you can change to November to April, and you can set to April to weekdays of in which part, suppose in April 4th, in weekdays 4th. If you're trying to execute this, what it will going to do, whenever you're going to close this workbook, okay, like this one, okay, inside this, so we already have, okay, suppose I'm going to this one, let's don't save it, and again open the Excel. Okay, when you're going to open the Excel like this, and if that a particular code which we have been saved, that in visual editor, okay, you're going to see one type of pop-up message here, that today is a Friday, don't forget to submit the TPS report, whatever we have written inside the uh, inside this particular workbook. Okay, see, so this is called as an event handler. Okay, we're going to see some examples of the event handler, because it required different modules in order to work with the event handler. Now suppose you have some chart, or some, you can say, some dashboard. Okay, now you have to activate and deactivate the workbook or dashboard with the help of the VBA editor, okay, by using the workbook activation events. So Excel also recognize that event which occurs when you activate or deactivate some particular workbook. Suppose if I want to activate some kind of an workbook, suppose private sub workbook activate, okay, this procedure I'm creating. Now inside this I'm writing that activate window dot window state, okay, equal to Excel maximize. Okay, this type of thing I have written. Activate the window state. Oh right, runtime echo has been occurred. We are trying to activate, is already activated actually, but we are trying to activate the window state equal to Excel maximized, right? And the example of actually of activating the window here in this code, you can see it recognize the particular workbook, whether that workbook is activated or not. Well, the procedure actually simply maximizing the workbooks window. Okay, regarding some kind of runtime error, I guess. Let's check it as runtime error. So workbook activate, we have given cell maximized. With respect to this, at the end of this statement, we have done something else. 4 to 4 object required. It's saying that there should be an object required. Which type of object they want? Okay, yeah, it requires an object like this window workbook function. I remember it will going to work when you have first have done some kind of an event. Okay, like this procedure, it will going to execute when a workbook is getting deactivated. Okay, the procedure actually will going to copy the particular selector range in which you want to apply the event. Okay, and then that range is getting the deactivated, and then again you are trying to activate this particular workbook. This is the actually part where the event actually occurs. Suppose you want to set alarms. Okay, you want to set alarms for the event. One event we are creating, and you are creating the some setting alarm event, right? Inside this, suppose application you are using, right? Application dot on time, there will be a on time, you can see, and on time equal to 0.625. Suppose you are saying around this is 0.625, because it will execute a procedure when the time 3 p.m. event occurs. Some robotic voice should be there, like display whatever the things you are writing inside this code, display okay. And okay, end of this statement. I got it, I got it. Let's give the comma. What's happening? Okay, okay. 0.625 application, suppose let's say application dot speech dot speak. You should get one voice, speak. And if you are speaking, what you should do, hey wake up. Okay, you're going to see this voice. And in message box, if I'm writing, you should give the reminder, it's time, or it's time for your afternoon break. Okay, for your afternoon break. Got it? This is a message box. Okay, when you're going to run it, when
hey wake up,
now see it's time for your afternoon break. Now what you'll do, suppose write this particular procedure in your visual auditor, okay, in visual editor, and in this you're going to see this particular message, whatever I have written, hey wake up. This particular sound you're going to get in your headphones or whatever you have connected with your voice assistant. Suppose I'm again running this, I'm getting the voice
hey
actually,
wake up,
hey wake up, see, and I'm getting it's time for your afternoon break. After the giving this particular event is saying me that it's time for your afternoon break, right? Or even I wanted to write, suppose hello, it's time for, I don't want to write in message, time for your supper. Okay, it's time for your supper. And you can change the content like, because it's evening now, it's evening now. Okay, now we are running this.
hello it's time for your supper,
See, hello, it's time for your supper because it's evening now, right? This sentence I'll going to hear from in the mic from the application, and rest of the sentence it will going to execute on the message box. So this is called as an on time event. Okay, this is called an on time event. Now you are setting the alarm and you have displayed the alarm, right? First we have set the alarm here. You want to set the alarm, so you can set it here, which we have say used, and then you have displayed this alarm. Okay, you can change to display the alarm, display alarm. Okay, and once you have already created this setting the alarm function, right, where we have used the application on time method or on time event, and we have set the event. Okay, now let's see the sub set alarm. It means that at that specific time only this event should occur. So application dot on time equal to 0.625. Now I can give here the display alarm. Now we are getting the error because of this, we haven't created our particular display alarm, right? Display alarm. Now see expected at the end of this statement. What you are expecting at the end of this statement? I'm not remembering, guys. What are you expecting? Right, now see, you're displaying the alarm. Okay, okay. Yeah. Now expect a line of the label or statement at the end of the statement. You can write here this way. Okay. So we have used this particular on time method along with the displaying method, right? Where we have executed the statements with the help of the setting alarm.
Hello, it's time for your supper.
See, can you able to hear? And it's executing. Okay. Now, sometimes what happens? You can suppose in order to display this on time event, okay, we can execute the update clock procedure where it will going to write the times to the cell a1 and also program the another event in a seconds later, and this particular event will going to suppose return some update clock procedure, and the next fx is the cell only, and that a1 is updated with the current time. Every 5 seconds you are entering the data. Okay. And that data, if you are talking to stop the events, you can execute the stop clock also procedure, right? So update clock and stop clock both has been get perfectly updated, that is updated. Now that both update clock and the stop clock, okay, suppose I am creating one global procedure like dim next tick as date, and I am creating the sub update clock procedure first, and this update clock I am updating cells a1 with suppose with current time. Okay, let's create a update cell a1 with current time. Okay, with current time, this I'm writing here this comment. Now this workbook dot sheets 1 dot range. Okay, and range here we are selecting the a1 equal to time, it is the current time. Okay, and we are setting the next event for the 5 second from now on, so I can use the next tick, that is our global, equal to now plus time value we are taking up to 5 seconds after this 5 second, right? So we can write from 00 to 00 to 05. Let's close this, and application we are using application dot on time. I guess something is not working here. On time next tick I'll going to give it. Okay, next tick you can set to update clock also, update clock, right? Update clock. We should stop the clock also, right? We should stop the clock, otherwise it will going to run continuously. Okay, we can cancel the on time events by using the stop clock. How? Simple application dot on time event on time next tick, actually next tick, and in the next tick it should get stopped, right? With whatever the update clock we are using, it should get stopped using the false method. Okay, and it is not a up, it's update. Right now after the 5 seconds, 1 2 4 3 4 and 5, see, cannot run the book one update because the macro may not be available in this workbook, or the macros may be disabled. You can see in A1 it have written some time. Can you see? A1 it have written some time, right? At A1 it have executed this particular sheet after the 5 seconds, and after waiting for the 5 seconds, if I want to stop this. Okay, you can stop this from using the runtime. Although you're going to get error on the next tick, because what happens, you have already deactivated that thing which has already been executed by this particular update clock event. Okay, so if you want to call, then you can call the stop clock in this way also. It doesn't matter, you can clock this stop clock in this way. Okay, it will going to show you the error only, because like I'm showing this, that you can call this stop clock in this way. Otherwise you can see, if I run this, we'll be going to wait for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds, automatically see, you're going to get an what you can see, 7:39 18 p.m 7:39 18 p.m, right? 18 seconds. So in this way this get executed. Okay, we have other events like key press event, where we use the page down and page up keys, right? Page down and page up keys, like in this way. So we have respect to one event which is called as an page down and page up. Okay, that page down event, a page key event, let's see, let's me give you some scenario a little bit. Setup keys, you can select any procedure name, you can give it some setup keys, and this setup keys we are writing application dot on key. Can you see? On key, and inside this you can write page down. The syntax is little bit typical, page down. Okay, and this page down you are writing page down sub. Okay, page down sub. Oh, and this page down sub will going to create it. This is page down, and this is page up. pgdn, just go with the spellings, because here you're going to get error if you done the spelling mistake. Page up sub. Okay, and now we are getting the page down sub, and whatever we have written here, page down sub. Okay, on error it should get resume. Activate cell dot offset 1 comma 0. Okay, I know 1 comma 0 dot activate. And for the page up it will be the same one, not that much, right? Just give me fine. Yeah, great. Now copy page up, capital U, page up. Okay, page up, and here also page up. Inside this same thing will be written, but this should be a -1 because you are doing the page down. So activate all page down, right? So after setting up this on key events by executing the setup on key procedure, right, by pressing the page down moves, you write down one row, moves it down one row, and by pressing page up moves, you're going to page up the one row. Okay, if you want to cancel, you can cancel and the procedures, and you can do the procedures. Now let's run this. Okay, so this particular which you are seeing, page down and page up. Okay, page down and page up, you can see. Okay, page down and page up. So these all are called as different events. Okay, so we have seen how the different types of events get executed. Okay, and of course you're going to get an object required because you are entering here only, you are executing this type of this code, so it will going to show the error. Now these are the some particular events which you have seen today. Okay, these are the little bit typical events, because in working with a event is kind of a little complicated at the very beginning level of the, you can say, VBA. Okay, you have to be little bit proficient in order to work with the event part. Okay, because you have to handle with the specifically for the file or root file, and then you have to handle with a complete whole setup or application or a whole workbook, right? You are working with a whole worksheet, so these are all things you are getting updated. Now we also next we're going to see some error handling techniques, okay, which is a very important topic of the any kind of a programming or any kind of an macro and a VB automation, how you can handle the error if you encounter some kind of an error. Okay, how you can tackle that particular error, what are the codes we can write for it. So tomorrow we're going to start with the error handling techniques only. Okay, so till then, bye bye, take care everyone, right? And you already know that if you wanted to learn in depth and how this particular VBA and macro automation works with the data analysis and data science, right? How this particular specific, this all the contents which you're learning, okay, how and how this helps with the data science in a very deep, you can connect to the Coachx.Live. Definitely they're going to guide you at the very best level. So okay guys, bye bye, take care, see you tomorrow.